This is episode 11 of the PP podcast. It's the 14th of November 2020, about 23 for GMT, and I'm 20 to 4 GMT plus 1. The weather is shit in Spain. How is the weather in the northwest of England, James?
It is decidedly grey.
Cool. Let's not let that infiltrate our mood for this podcast then.
No, we can be happy and bright and cheery.
Yeah, I'm
like the little balls of sunshine that we are.
Yeah, definitely. I never have, I don't have any of those mind illnesses whatsoever. None of those at all.
Feeling sad?
No.
What's that? I actually do like this time of year. It is my. I don't find. I mean, I guess you can. I can sometimes feel sad on a grey day, but generally I quite like the cold. Winter feel.
Yeah, I prefer the cold, definitely. I don't mind it when it's grey. I think it's more when it's like pitch black all the time that fucks me up. When it goes dark at like 3 o'clock, I'm like, where am I? What universe is this?
Yeah. I quite like it because it keeps people inside. Right? So like you can go out at like 6 o'clock, it's dark and cool on the streets and it's quiet. But I haven't had to like stay up to achieve that.
True.
You know, you just kind of get that wander around. It's like you've got the place to yourself feel.
Yeah, I do like that actually.
Plus I think like my birthday's in December, Christmas is in December, so it's like I don't know. I've got this like pleasant association with cool, cold times where you're inside and it's warm and you're eating hot food. So yeah, I think winter's actually like my favourite time of year.
Interesting.
But
I quite like autumn and spring. I don't know. I change my mind every year. So, yeah.
Yeah, it depends what you're doing, right, in that year. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
You know, if you've got like an absolute like a wicked summer holiday, then you probably have a great summer, and like you could say summer's your favourite time. But
exactly. Whereas,
just
going to work last winter at 8 a.m. and it's still dark as fuck, and then you watch the lights slowly dwindle from the office, and someone has to put the big light on. That is not. And then you walk home in the dark. That was not a vibe. At all.
Yeah, that is when it's naff. It's like you're leaving the office at like 7, and you feel like you've worked late. Even if you leave at like 6, right? It's dark and cold, and you feel like you've worked late. So yeah, I get you on that.
And yeah, so that was a nice little discussion about the weather. I think we should make that a segment every episode. We talk about the weather.
I mean, it's like proper. I'm amazed that weather small talk hasn't creeped in yet, because it's like so generic, isn't it? It's like, oh god, what am I going to talk about? Oh, the weather.
Easy.
Thank fuck. The weather is always there.
Definitely.
It saved so many people's conversations. But yeah, so on I can't segue into films because I've not watched any, but video games.
Video games. Yeah, dude.
So the game I've played too much of.
Okay.
Or like I've like absolutely put so many hours in a short period is Hollow Knight.
Yeah, boy.
Which you have played before? Like when did you play?
I played Hollow Knight. It was the summer before I went to Japan for uni. I think I put about 25 hours in. I got like a fair way through, got a lot of the powers, and then I hit a wall. Similar to like a wall you can get in like Dark Souls or Bloodborne, any of those kind of games where if you die, your stuff stays where it is and you have to go back and get it. you know.
Yeah.
And I think it was like a really hard platforming bit, and I died again. And then I had to go all the way back and get my body. It was like, like a trek to get there where I could easily die again. And this has happened like 5 times. And I think I was just like, no, I'm done. I'm going to go play something else. And then I just never
Yeah.
touched it again. But I think I should, because apart from that part,
Yeah.
I enjoyed that game a lot. That game is very good.
Yeah. I mean, I will say there are a couple of bits that I think, or that I did find frustrating, like where either the corpse rung was like just a little bit too long,
Yeah.
and like, or where it's just like a little bit too obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a couple of bits where I'm like, really? I have to do all of that again now, to get back to the bit I was struggling with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but for the most part, I didn't think it was too bad for that. Like, it is, in this kind of style of game where there is like boss combat and there is like this platforming. Some games like really rely on being obnoxious to make the game more difficult.
Yeah.
But I thought this, certainly like I think you can play the game to completion, and everything is very fair and reasonable. Like there's a couple of bosses that are tricky, but you've just got to figure them out. I even played like some of the dream variants. I thought actually like the dream bosses they're a little bit harder, but I managed to beat them all. I thought they were fair.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was good. I think where the game is strongest though is the exploration.
I agree.
Like
100%.
I definitely enjoyed the game more when I was like figuring it out, and just that feeling of um, I think the map mechanic is really, really, really strong.
Again.
So I by that I mean like the fact that you discover a new area and you don't have a map, so you don't know where you are, and then you've got to find the guy Conifer or Cornifer or whatever his name
Yeah, I
is.
love that dude.
He's somewhere in the area. You find him, he sells you a map, and then you can actually track where you are.
Yeah.
But up until that point, you're exploring blind, and I think that has such a nice mix of um, helping you, actual UI stuff. You do get a map at some point, so it's not like, oh god, I'm trying to go find this secret and I have no idea where I am.
Mm-hmm.
But also letting you actually explore and find things and not constantly relying on a minimap. And subtle things like the map doesn't update until you go and sit at a bench and draw it all out. So even
I love
then,
that.
you're like,
Honestly. I completely, until you just mentioned it literally now, I forgot that was a thing. You have to find a dude, and it's cool because you can spend like a little while until you find him. If you just go the other way because you don't know where you're going, and you spend 20
yeah,
minutes in that zone, and then when you find him, you're like, oh, thank fuck for that. But
yeah,
then when you get the map and you draw it out, and you spot all the different bits that you saw, you're like, because you've already started making a map in your head. The game just finishes it off for you basically. Um,
yeah,
and that was so
yeah.
cool.
Like you could create that map on paper if you wanted.
Yeah.
At that point, but the game does it. Um, yeah, I think that works really nicely. It reminded me of so there was, I don't know. Do you remember Bionicles?
I fucking love Bionicles, dude. Hell yeah.
So I loved Bionicles as a kid, and there was an online game called the Matanui Online Game.
Matanui, yeah.
So I don't know if you ever played this, but it was like a point and click
No.
style
Oh,
adventure,
okay.
and there was no real combat to it that I remember.
Interesting.
You just like explored, discovered what was going on. I remember you had like a sickle to harvest the reeds that let you like build other stuff.
Huh.
And it had this really chill, relaxing music. But certainly maybe it was just because I was a kid, and so like I had no idea what you actually did. Um, I tried to find it to replay it, but it was actually like really difficult to find. I think there might be a version you can download from somewhere, but
Yeah.
I was really sad that I couldn't go back and play it to talk about it now. But it was a game that was really exploration focused.
Yeah.
Just on finding things, just on like wandering around. And like I loved that all about Hollow Knight. That there's little secrets. Some of them are achievements. Some of them work towards achievements. Some of them are just you pick something up.
Yeah.
You pick up something cool, um, and you're like rewarded for going like, oh, what happens if I go this way?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like some of it um, can like be a little bit frustrating, but then you get this huge sense of satisfaction once you do it. Like there's this one where there's this big metal, well, not really metal, but like shell, this like centipede creature with a shell that like crawls along,
Mm.
and if you touch it, you take damage, but you can like, if you use like the down strike, you're like
You bounce
bouncing
along
on
it.
it,
Yeah, yeah.
and you've got to like dash and then jump over obstacles, and so like there's all the elements of exploration along with these like non-combat bits where you're just like using your to like jump and navigate through these elements to cool secrets, and that's what I really loved about the game.
Yeah.
I think I like the combat as well, um, but that didn't hold the same. Now that I've done all the exploration, I've done all the main combats, all I've got left to like completely complete the game are a couple of like something in the Colosseum and a couple of boss fights like from the extra content
Mm-hmm.
packs,
Yeah.
and they're just a little bit too annoying, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they're not. Um, I'm someone who's a big fan. Like I've played a lot of Rogue Legacy, which I think I talked about before.
Yeah.
Of games where if you're struggling, you can do something different.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think Hollow Knight offers that a lot because sometimes you just go away and do something different, but you find a secret, it gives you a new charm that lets you play in a new way and kind of play a different build almost. Or you find a piece of mask that gives you an extra health, lets you take an extra hit. And there's all these things that mean if you're struggling with a boss, you don't have to just bang your head against it until you get through.
No, you've got ways to.
Which I think, yeah, which I think is important in like removing frustration from a game, keeping it like good for your mental health.
Yeah.
Like personally, like I can get so wound up with some games, but so yeah, I think there's a lot of really strong points. I think there's some bits that get towards the end of the game that aren't really made for a player like me because that's not what I enjoy.
Okay.
I don't like being at the point where I've maxed out my character. This is just now painful, and I've got to like play it through for like 15 minutes, and then if I die, I've got to play that whole 15 minutes through again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just hours of my time grinding. That like late game stuff is made for some kind of masochist that I'm just not.
Yeah.
But the actual like core gameplay, playing the game from start to finish, is exactly my kind of game. It's like the perfect game for me in some ways.
I mean, when you said that you had started playing it, I was like, yeah, okay, this is a James game right here.
Yeah. I think it's also a really beautiful example of sound design.
Yeah.
Which is something we talked about kind of with FTL and with with Mass Effect and a couple of other things. But I think this is, I mean, it's probably the best example of sound design I can think of because every single area, as you're exploring, has its own unique feel, and a large part of that is the music.
They are really distinct, all the different tones.
There's the visuals. Obviously, the visuals have been done well so that the fungal wastes look mushroomy and, have a different feel to Green Path, which is foresty.
Yeah.
Even though they're largely a similar palette of greens, they separate them out. But I think the sound is actually the biggest differentiator. The way the simple music actually does make you feel really tense when you're in like Deep Nest, which is like this spider's lair.
Book Deep Nest.
Spider's web.
Oh my god.
It's like it's a little bit dark and gloomy.
It's creepy as well.
But the creepy bit is the music and like the kind of the horrible scuttling noise these creatures make. And,
I'm getting shivers literally now, just from like thinking about that.
Yeah, the only area that the only example I can think of that I don't like is there's these like weird creatures in the waterways that make like a really horrible noise.
Oh god, yeah. The waterways.
Which in some ways is good, right? Because it makes me like tense, but it does this great. I just think it's brilliant for making you feel tense when you should be tense, for amping up the boss fights, for making it cool and chill when you're exploring like a new, exciting area, and making it spooky and like worrying when you're in like Deep Nest, which is this weird corner of the map where you like really don't know what's going on. And actually, one thing we mentioned earlier about the maps, that's another example of amazing sound design, because how do you know where the guy is?
Oh yeah, can you hear him singing or scribbling? I can't remember.
Yeah, he's humming.
That's it. Every character is singing or doing shit, right?
Yeah, every character has their own like noise. Nobody really talks.
No.
Like you see dialogue on screen, but people just make a noise. But he the guy who shows you the map has a really distinctive hum. It's like he's humming a nice little tune, and you know when you're near him before you actually find him.
Yeah.
And they do this as well with like there's these like grubs in glass jars.
Yeah, I remember the grubs.
So they're a little secret that you're trying to find, but you can hear the noise they're making. So you might not know, you might not have spotted that like one pixel that shows you that wall's breakable.
Yeah.
But because of the sound design, you know to look out for it.
Yeah.
So you don't feel like you have to like stare out at your screen the whole time.
It's always giving you clues.
It's giving you clues. Like you hear him, you hear that he's humming away. You can see like pieces of paper on the ground.
Paper too, yeah.
So you know kind of the trail that you want to follow. And it makes looking for secrets less painful.
Yeah.
And actually like quite enjoyable, which I thought was a really strong aspect.
It's impressive.
Which I think some games like you wouldn't always think to lean on. People have this wall's different colour.
Yeah.
Ooh. Which you then have to like stare out for, and sometimes you spot it and sometimes you miss it.
Yeah.
But yeah, sound design.
The sound is
particularly cool.
Yeah, because it's obviously been like a good while since I've played it or even watched stuff about it, but yeah, the sound is like so good, and just like almost like the ambient noises as well. Maybe if there's not like a lot of music going on, but you can hear like bits of water dropping and then hitting the ground, and it's like it feels like you're in a cave and there's water just like plink plink plink. And the music and like all of that is just like pure atmosphere, and honestly you're making me want to like, if I go home, play that shit again, and like break through whatever wall I was up against, because all of that it's so beautiful, even though it's like you're in like this weird dungeon of bugs and bugs that have gone mental, and there's all the story and stuff. It's so well drawn. It sounds great. The music's great. It's fun to play. The secrets. There's a lot of different things that are gonna like entice different kind of players, and then like the exploration and yeah, shit. I wish I beat it now because now I wish I knew everything that happened. But you know, it is a really cool game.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really like I think beating it gives a nice sense of closure.
Yeah.
So I think most of the actual game, like I'd done, I didn't want to beat it because I was trying to find little secrets. FY, but something that's good to know: you can beat the game and then it like resets you to before you beat it.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
So like if you want to just beat the game and then maybe look for secrets, you absolutely can.
Okay, sound.
Which I wish I'd known because like I got myself a bit frustrated trying to beat a few final bits, and it's like, oh, I really want to do this because I don't want to beat the game and then not be able to come back to it. But then actually I just beat the game for a bit of closure, and now I'm happier because I can go in and try.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like I've got my complete the game achievement. I did it to 100%.
Yeah.
But not. There's like 112%
Oh my
is the
God.
max you can,
Yeah.
because the content packs add
Yeah. Yeah, a bit more.
an extra on top of the base game. So I did 100%. I haven't done the full absolutely everything.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I've partway through like a second playthrough to maybe get like a slightly different ending as well.
Yeah, there's other endings, right? It's like a few, maybe like 2 or 3 endings to the game, maybe.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, so it depends on what. Yeah, there's a few different ways you can play the final boss fight, and some of it or like I got an item that locked out the default ending,
Oh God.
so that's why I have to play through again.
Right.
But there's quite a few things where it doesn't actually make a difference.
Okay.
What you did up to then, it's just what you do in the final boss fight.
Right.
So you can like complete it and then play it differently and stuff.
Sound.
So yeah, I definitely would recommend picking it back up to trying to do a playthrough.
Yeah.
They're actually doing a sequel. I don't know if you know.
Oh really? That's cool. Nice.
It's called Silksong.
So
you know the Hornet.
yes.
I don't know if you, so yeah, like she's this like I guess ally. You get a couple of people who are kind of allies in it.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
But she's also a boss.
Yeah. She's a boss.
So you kind of like a bit of an ally, a bit of a rival. She's like the main other character. But she'll be from my understanding, she will be the playable character in Silksong.
That's cool. Okay, well I've definitely got to beat Hollow Knight properly before I got to get that then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although on the subreddit, there's somebody who does. I'm going to post a badly drawn picture every day until Silksong's released.
Oh yeah, I like
that. But they're on like day 350 or whatever, so they've been waiting a while.
Holy shit! Okay.
So I wouldn't like assume that Silksong is going to be imminent.
No, that's fine. But yeah,
I am excited if
that's cool.
If that gets released.
I do, because I do like those kind of games like Metroidvania. You've got a map, you explore, you eventually build your character up with new powers and discover all the mysteries and secrets and stuff of whatever. Because there's a few other games like that I've really, really enjoyed and I have beaten. So I think I need to come back to that one, just so I can say I beat it and obviously like figure it all out.
Yeah, it's striking that balance between wanting to get a sense of closure and getting frustrated. for me personally anyway, because I am someone who, particularly as a teenager, there was a lot of games like that I played. It was almost because it was so invested.
Mhm.
I was so invested in trying to beat it that I wasn't enjoying playing it.
Right, right.
I was getting really angry, really, but I desperately wanted to get to the end. Whereas now, I think I do better for. I play when I'm enjoying it, and I appreciate a challenge, but I'm able to recognize when, okay, I'm not actually enjoying this now.
Yeah.
And it's not worth it for that final little secret that you have to, hit
No.
pixel perfect every time.
Yeah, like
Um,
me and Matt beat Bloodborne again, but we did it like the whole thing in co-op, so that we'd help each other with all the bosses and stuff. And there's this one fucking boss in the DLC that's in vanilla or like standard, like 2 years, 3 years ago, we beat him like just fine, but for whatever
yeah,
reason, his new game plus one makes him like the hardest boss in the game, or at least one of the hardest bosses in the
right.
game. And we literally beat every other boss apart from this one motherfucker. And
Yeah,
we must have attempted it like 50 times, if not more. And we were just like, we said we were going to beat every boss, but there's no point us spending 10 hours trying to beat him. We're just going to ignore him. And I
yeah,
was just like, I don't fucking care anymore. I can happily beat the game and not have beaten him, whatever. Because it just wasn't
yeah,
enjoyable. Whereas every other boss, apart from like a couple that are shit, we did enjoy it and it was crazy, like bonkers combat, like spells and
yeah.
swords and demons and shit going everywhere. So, yeah, I
Yeah,
get
I mean,
that.
you want it to be challenging. Like, that's part of the fun and part of the satisfaction, right? It's
Exactly,
not
yeah.
that I want every boss to be easy.
Not at all.
Um, but I think for me, it's like, okay, if I fail, how much do I have to redo?
Yeah, that's the point.
And that's usually time wise. So in Hollow Knight, I like all the bosses because, yeah, you maybe have to like run back to them,
Mm-hmm.
but the boss fight itself is never that long.
No.
So you just gotta redo that. There's a section where you're like, that's like the hardest parkour bit,
Mm-hmm.
where there's like buzzsaws flying through the air, and like, I don't know if do you remember that bit,
Maybe.
or if you
It's been
got
like
there.
3 years, to be fair.
I feel like you'd remember it. It's like, it is like you're in like a dream
It's the
world, and
one.
it is just built to be the hardest parkour bit.
Okay.
I liked it. There's benches part way through. You do sections of it, and some of the sections are quite long, but there's none. They were all just like an acceptable length
Yeah.
of long,
Not too bad.
because you get to the next bit, and then there's a bench. They're like, here's a bench. You've done that bit. Do the next bit. So I beat that. It was tricky, and like, I saw like I read a bit about it after, and everybody's commenting like, there's a special place in hell for whoever designed that. But I thought it was actually quite well designed because they chunked it up.
Yeah.
There's another bit. It's like the Colosseum of Fools, where you do these like trials. And the third and final trial in that, it is kind of the ultimate combat challenge, and that's meant to be the point. But it's just a bit too long
Yeah.
for me. Like when I'm grinding to try and play it, it's taking me hours
Well, that's
because
definitely
I
too
have to
long.
play for like 20 minutes an attempt,
Yeah.
and I'm still not at the end of it.
I'm not about. Yeah, when it's taken 20 minutes just to get to the boss again, that's where someone fucked up on design and made it too long. Like, it shouldn't be taking you
Yeah,
more than 10. Even 10, I'm like,
yeah.
come on now.
I think it's like, it's just getting a bit obnoxious, and it's also the fact that there's like 3 trials in that Colosseum, and the first 2 I can beat every time.
Yeah.
Like, it's I can like really not try. I can just take damage when I really should be dodging, and still beat them.
Yeah.
So, and then it jumps to this one that I haven't even been able to beat.
Yeah, it's like a
So that's when I feel like, okay, what's happening in like your game design here? But I'm also maybe getting a bit whiny there because it is like it's a hard challenge for those masochists who like, you know, do a never die, never take a hit, only
yeah.
only with the base starting nail,
Those people are nuts.
And then somebody who's done that and put like 10,000 hours in the game is commenting like, "Oh, it's perfectly fair.
It's not that hard. It's like, okay,
It's not that hard." It's like, okay,
person who
fuck you.
makes a living from this kind of runs, you know? Like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very good game. I'm definitely going to try and get back into it. Stick it on my backlog list, which is obviously about a million things long. But
Yeah, I made a list in Steam actually. I like actually separated like, here's the games I need to play.
Yeah.
Like, and I've been working through. It's partly why I picked this one up. And I'm glad I did that because rather than just buying new games and never playing them, I've had some fun.
Yeah, it's a good way to do it. Definitely.
Right. Well, that was our Hollow Knight episode.
Yep. It's a good theme.
It was a while in the works, but
we got there.
It had to happen.
It did, definitely. Game's too good. Yeah. Let's talk about it.
For sure. Right. Well, goodbye to all our loyal viewers, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week. I'm off to Lidl. Goodbye.